Welcome to the Cosmos Ecosystem News Roundup. Here are the top stories and causes in the first half of May. Cosmos Hub and consumer chains. Partial set security and vote power tax proposal. Namada, community concerns about the shooter expedition. Dydx v4, upcoming CosmWasm integration. Osmosis, V25 upgrade overview. Kujira, Awesomwasm hackathon tracks. Celestia, Rollkit overview. Say, several ecosystem updates and events. Persistence, launch of stkXPRT. Secret Network selected projects of Q2 grants. Akash, Mainnet 11 and Akash Accelerate 24. Other ecosystem news. Onomy exchange launch and Law Foundation fundraising. Focus sections about the Cosmos Hub and consumer chains, Stride and Neutron, Namada, Dydx, Osmosis, Kujira, Celestia, Say, Persistent, Secret Network, Akash, and Crypto regulations and compliance updates with MME. All this and much more in this episode. And now, today's top stories. The Cosmos Hub V16 upgrade was successfully implemented on the 15th of May, and the next upcoming V17 upgrade will be very important since it will introduce partial set security, or PSS for short. PSS, as you can see here, will offer potential consumer chains a lot more flexibility compared to replicated security. Existing consumer chains in Neutron and Stride will become top N equals 95% chains, but still with the 5% soft opt-out. After PSS is implemented, the top 95% of validators by voting power will experience no change, but the bottom 5% validators currently validating Neutron or Stride will need to send an opt-in transaction for each chain to continue validating. So while Neutron and Stride benefit from 95% of the Cosmos Hub security, meaning 100% minus the 5% soft opt-out, with PSS, they will benefit from 90% of the security since it will be 95% minus the 5% soft opt-out. However, we previously saw potential consumer chains such as Noble delaying the launch because they acknowledged and were concerned about the additional costs for validators with no additional revenue for running Noble. Existing consumer chains, in fact, the first consumer chain, Neutron, was providing negligible revenues to validators since the launch. We, Cosmic Validator, took the initiative and suggested using a part of the unclaimed NTRN from the airdrop and sent to the community pool as revenue for validators, and this was successfully implemented. So while it is great to offer more flexibility and options to potential consumer chains, the core problem is still the lack of revenues for validators. Because if Stride and Neutron couldn't yet provide any significant revenues to validators, it seems unlikely that some new consumer chains will bring more revenue than Neutron or Stride. Neutron started already to provide the vesting NTRN to validators, but mentioned that they will transition to a monthly payment module for the validators with over 95% uptime for each month. This will lead to some NTRN remaining, and the plans are to use these NTRN to reward great performance such as 99% uptime and other contributions that add value to the Cosmos Hub and consumer chains. There is an idea in the Cosmos Hub forum to actually solve the economics unbalance problem for consumer chains. This idea is called the vote power tax and is being proposed by Effort Capital. In summary, the VP tax could help both solve the revenue issues of validators running consumer chains and also the centralization of voting power in the Cosmos Hub. The idea is to use a formula to tax validators based on their voting power, meaning the more centralized and larger the voting power, the higher the tax. This tax collected would then be equally distributed to all the Cosmos Hub validators. Thanks to this, all the Cosmos Hub validators could validate over 6 consumer chains. The reason to launch partial set security was precisely because replicate security had a high barrier of entry since validators, seeing the example of Stride and Neutron, didn't want to run more consumer chains without revenue. However, with the vote power tax idea, PSS wouldn't even be needed because many consumer chains could join as replicate security, benefiting from 100% of security of the Cosmos Hub, because all the Cosmos Hub validators, thanks to the vote power tax distributed to all, would have enough resources to validate many consumer chains. While the VP tax proposal in the Cosmos Hub forum is a signaling proposal, the implementation would be straightforward. Just input in the formula the updated values of voting power and a self-bond for validators to calculate the tax for each, and then distribute the collected tax equally for all. What the VP tax will do is not only help scale quickly replicate security and PSS to many consumer chains, but also reduce the centralization of the Cosmos Hub constantly for the long term. In summary, if the VP tax is implemented, the benefits for the Cosmos Hub will be the following. Increase significantly the security of the Cosmos Hub with a more decentralized validator set, attract more consumer chains giving the higher security offered, and incentivize all validators to run all consumer chains, essentially providing 100% security to all PSS consumer chains. The only ones who might oppose the proposal are the few largest validators thinking only short-term about themselves, rather than the best for the Cosmos Hub, which actually would also be best for them in the long run. But given the recent implementation of the minimum 5% fee, many validators who used to have a low fee of around 1% or 2% now had a major increase in revenue. So the VP tax would be a negligible difference, so they should definitely support this proposal. We fully support the VP tax idea and hope that it will be implemented very soon. Following the auditing of the vulnerabilities and protocol improvement submissions after the shooter expedition ended on the 11th of April, only one protocol improvement was approved for Genosed, and 6 vulnerabilities were approved for Genosed, Mandragora, Zenode, HKey, Crypto SJNet, and Namada Guru. For most of the rest of the validators, they have similar points in the C, A, and S categories. So the category B of uptime and governance became very important because since for the other categories the points were so similar, uptime or governance could make major differences in the final ranking. A total of 55 validators, including pre-Genesis and post-Genesis, managed to achieve over 95% or over 99% uptime, but this wasn't easy. To achieve this uptime, many validators had little sleep and many days had to delay or cancel trips or events. Some even mentioned having to suddenly stop with the car during a long trip because of some alerts. In summary, achieving the uptime task was very challenging and required a lot of effort and consistency for months. In contrast, the governance category was the opposite. There were many spam proposals or validators creating dozens of spam proposals to try increasing their governance percentage participation. Also, many created scripts to vote the same automatically for all proposals without even reading the proposals. Many validators thought that the spam proposals would not count, of course, for the competition and focus on the official and important proposals. Then those inexperienced and not SE100 validators who didn't manage to achieve the uptime started to provide inaccurate reasons of why the uptime category should be removed. The evidence and proof that the reasons they provided were invalid can be summarized as follows. The reasons presented are to justify that post-Genesis validators couldn't really compete and achieve uptime. If this was true, then no post-Genesis validator would have achieved the uptime. However, a total of 13 post-Genesis pilots achieved the uptime task, meaning that it was possible also for post-Genesis validators to achieve the uptime task. Despite this, Gavin asked the Onomy Foundation to remove the uptime category, and this had serious consequences. First of all, this heavily penalized the top-performing validators while rewarding instead spam proposal voters. Also, this had a huge impact in the final results. Many top-performing validators who were going to finish in the top 10 or top 25 lost their prizes, with the uptime road points removed, and some low-performance validators that just voted and created spam proposals won. Instead, the prize is supposed to be for the other performant validators. A bounty was suggested for those who achieved the uptime task, but many complained about this, because the difference in prizes from the top 25 or top 10, for example, is around 500,000 NOM tokens, while the bounties could be maximum around 10,000 NAM tokens. There were also serious concerns about some post-Genesis validators, in particular HKey. This post-Genesis validator, who was not selected in the SE100 and who also got jailed during the shooter expedition, started a malicious campaign to damage other validators for his own benefit. First, he tried to invalidate most approved shielded apps, claiming that only his shielded app should be approved, and he continued pushing the shielded expedition team for weeks. He also tried via private messages to invalidate some approved vulnerability tasks after auditing, and the Namada team had to share publicly on Discord their private reply, explaining why they would still keep some vulnerability tasks approved despite the continuous insistence from HK to invalidate them. HK, with others, was also heavily involved in trying to convince and manipulate the shielded expedition coordinators to remove uptime, since they didn't achieve uptime. Overall, there is a great disappointment in the community and from long-term contributors from the actions and events just described, so we hope the concerns will be listened to and fixed. Dydx announced the upcoming integration of CosmWasm, which is great news since the Dydx chain order book will be unlocked for DeFi protocols, not only on Dydx but cross-chain. This integration will also bring more interoperability to the Dydx chain. Binance announced the Dydx token has been fully integrated on the exchange and deposits are open. Antonio, the previous CEO of Dydx Trading, announced his transition to president and chairman. The previous chief strategy officer at Dydx Trading, Evo, became the new CEO. The Osmosis V25 upgrade was implemented, bringing several new features. The top-of-block auction mechanism leveraging SKIP protocol block SDK to improve the processing of transactions and provides a new revenue stream for Osmosis and more efficient pricing within the Osmosis ecosystem. Also, the burn mechanism was introduced with the goal of burning the Osmo, Atom, and USDC accumulated by the proto-rev built previously by SKIP protocol. After the V25 upgrade, a total of 1.3 million Osmo were burnt. Smart accounts are also a highlight of the V25 upgrade. Thanks to smart accounts, the trading experience has been improved because now instead of having to sign every transaction and placing new trades, just with one click the trading is easier and more automated, and this works even with using hardware wallets. Smart accounts also allow support for several devices and keys, and you can easily revoke access to certain devices if you lose a device, for example. Moreover, to create new accounts, users can use Face ID, Touch ID, Passkey, or other popular authentication methods. Event security is also introduced with smart accounts. For example, for high-value transactions, you can add a 2FA verification. Several consensus improvements were also added with the V25 upgrade. For example, the block time was reduced from 3 seconds to 2.5 seconds, and the calculation of gas prices was also improved. The Awesomwasm hackathon will be in Berlin from 28th to 30th of May, and Kujira will be one of the main tracks of the hackathon together with Neutron. In particular, there will be 3 separate tracks for Kujira. The present track focus will be on extracting and displaying data in a user-friendly format and integrating the Kujira dApps such as Fin or Ghost. The Analyze track will focus on analyzing gathered data to create, for example, asset management strategies for ORCA liquidations or USK minting portfolios. This track will also focus on developing tools for backtesting market data. Finally, the Compose track will focus on integrating and automating interactions in Kujira's core dApps. The prices across the 3 tracks are in total $25,000 in Kuji tokens. The Celestia Infinite Space Bazaar Hackathon started on April 2nd and finished on the 17th of May with the submissions deadline on the 17th at 4 p.m. UTC. Rollkit, the first sovereign rollup framework, was announced. The advantages of Rollkit are the combination of the ease of deploying a rollup and the sovereignty of Layer 1. In other words, Rollkit allows to deploy any VM or application as a sovereign blockchain in seconds. Amongst other options for Module DA, Rollkit leverages Celestia for VMs, CosmWasm, and several sequencing and validity modes are also provided. Since Rollkit is built with the Cosmos SDK, it is possible to benefit also from IBC or SKIP protocol tools such as a Block SDK or Slinky. There was an NFT fundraiser in the SAE ecosystem to support with the Taiwan earthquake. A total of 8.5 thousand SEI were raised, and this was actually the largest NFT fundraiser in SEI history. Ether.fi is the largest liquid restaking protocol, and it was announced that it joined the SEI ecosystem as the first liquid restaking token, or LRT for short. Liquid restaking protocols allow liquid staking tokens to earn additional yield. Ether.fi offers a liquid staking token that supports staked ETH. On the 14th of May, there was an event in Singapore organized by SEI and Nansen. This event focused on the advantages of SEI for traders and developers. Nansen is a leading on-chain analytics and research platform used by top crypto investors. Persistence announced the launch of stkXPRT, the liquid staking of XPRT tokens. Users can liquid stake XPRT on pstake, and then the stkXPRT could be used, for example, in the stkXPRT/XPRT LP on Dexter. The launch of stkXPRT was a great success. In just 24 hours after launch, a total of over 770,000 XPRT were liquid staked with pstake, and shortly after, a new milestone was achieved, with over 1 million XPRT liquid staked. The selected projects for the Q2 round of grants were announced. Also, it was mentioned that the Q3 round will begin in late July or early August, and that projects interested can already start applying. On May 20th, the Hack Secret 3 hackathon began, and it will run for 1 month. The selected projects for the Q2 round of grants were the following: Satoshi's Palace, which is a decentralized casino with the integration of secret VRF for randomness to ensure fairness. Another selected project is PAMP IT, which is building a token launch platform on Secret with the goal of enabling the launch of privacy-preserving SNP20 tokens in just a few clicks. Another project selected is called Privcast, and it is using Secret to provide private polling for a Farcaster project, which is a decentralized social network built on Ethereum. Some additional projects selected are Synexus and several research projects like delayed write buffers to help solving storage access patterns for secret tokens, WebSocket Multiplexer, which is creating an events multiplexer service to allow wallets and front ends to immediately reduce the loads being put on secret query nodes. Other research projects selected are Secret Heaps, which is an L2 storage mechanism hosted outside the Enslave for secret contracts, and SNP250, reference implementation to supersede the SNP2x token implementation. Secret Network also announced a partnership and integration of Secret's confidential computing layer with Linea, which is a developer-friendly ZK rollup powered by Consensus, an innovative L2 scaling solution. The advantage of this collaboration for Linea is accessing decentralized confidential computing tools, documentation, and support. Akash Accelerate 24 will happen on May 28th in Austin. This event is special because it will be the first full-day Akash Summit gathering the Akash community. Registrations are open for Akash Accelerate 24, and in the event there will be presentations, panel discussions, and networking. Akash successfully implemented the upgrade to Mainnet 11. The highlights of this upgrade were updating Auth-Z to improve management and tracking of authorized AKT, and another highlight is the simplification of the grant process for deployments. The Onomy exchange launched with the Onyx/Nom pair with additional listing and tools upcoming. We are also happy to announce that we recently joined Onomy as Mainnet validators. In 2023, the company building Lava Protocol raised $15 million in a seed round. Now the Lava Foundation announced a raise of $11 million for the upcoming airdrop and mainnet launch. The Lava Foundation has been recently formed, and it is the first time that it is publicly introduced. The funds raised by Lava Foundation were via a simple agreement for future tokens, or SAFT. Tornado Cash developer Alexei Prestev sentenced to 64 months in prison by Dutch court. Alexei Prestev, the Russian developer associated with the crypto mixer Tornado Cash, was sentenced to 64 months in prison by a Dutch court after being found guilty of laundering $1.2 billion between July 9th of 2019 and August 10th of 2022. Brief reminder of the facts. August 2022, the U.S. Treasury Department blacklisted Tornado Cash for allegedly facilitating money laundering activities and illegal activities. August 2022, following the U.S. Treasury Department sanction, Alexei Pretsev was arrested and jailed in the Netherlands. November 2022, a Netherlands court ruled that Alexei Pretsev must remain in jail until at least February 20th of 2023, declaring him a flight risk. April 2023, Alexei Pretsev was released from jail but remained under house arrest until his trial. May 2024, Alexei Pretsev was convicted of money laundering to 64 months in prison by the 's-Hertogenbosch court in the Netherlands. May 2024, following the guilty verdict on May 14th of 2024, Alexei Pretsev has filed an appeal. Regulatory consequences. The trial has captured significant attention as it addresses the legal responsibilities of developers in decentralized projects. Among other things, the judge has tackled the following questions. Is Alexei Pretsev liable for the action of the Tornado Cash's smart contract? According to the judge, yes. The judges found Alexei Pretsev and his co-founders responsible for Tornado Cash's actions as they were the inventors/creators of Tornado Cash. He explains that they have created the GitHub pages and contributed most to Tornado's source code. In particular, Alexei Pretsev has developed the source code for Tornado Cash's pools, user interface, and relay software. The performers of Tornado Cash. He outlines they have acted as Tornado Cash's directors and present themselves as such to third parties and the media. As such, they are responsible for the operation and consequences of Tornado Cash. The judge highlights that the autonomous, immutable, and unstoppable nature of smart contracts does not constitute an exculpatory factor. Is the liability transferable to the DAO? The fact that Tornado Cash has started to operate as a DAO does not change anything, as among other. Alexei Pretsev and his co-founders kept 30% of the tokens, granting them a substantial control. What's next? This decision has already been appealed by Alexei Pretsev and must be confirmed. Whatever the final decision will be, it will have a major impact on the future management of the decentralized structures. And that is all for today's Cosmos Ecosystem Bi-Weekly Review. So if you enjoyed it, Cosmonauts, remember to click that like button, subscribe button, and bell icon too. Also, let us know if you have any comments or feedback. We're always listening to your feedback to keep improving the videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you, Cosmonauts, very soon in the next episode.